There's a couple exciting gaming news stories we have to talk about today, starting with Sega officially confirming support for the US region for their launch of the Genesis Mini 2, aka their new 2022 hardware. Then the big talking point for today's video has to do with that surprise drop trailer that we saw from Nintendo earlier today, confirming Bayonetta 3's release date, and a large discussion of what this means for the future announcements of Nintendo Switch games in 2022 going forward. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. As I mentioned, guys, we are breaking down a couple different stories today, and we have to kick it off with a discussion around Sega's newest information with the Genesis Mini 2, because you may remember we have talked about this console before on the channel previously when rumors were ramping up around Sega potentially working on some kind of Dreamcast Mini, as that's been referenced in the past and is a system that Sega may look into in the future. However, it was revealed that no, indeed, this would be the Genesis Mini 2 that would also support Sega CD games, which was some of the more interesting pieces of information around the console. However, the big asterisk with this when we did get the information is that it was only confirmed for support in Japan, leaving a lot of gamers out there just thinking, well, we'll probably pass this one up, or maybe you can import it, but then the games are going to be in Japanese. They may not have a way to play them in English, and unless you read Japanese, that's probably not your preferred way to play, so it's a whole thing. Fortunately, Sega came out today with official confirmation that we can expect the console to at least launch in the US right now, hopefully European regions as well, but that is not confirmed at this point in time. But to get on the same page with exactly what has been announced and the games we know to be on this US edition so far, let's quickly hop over to VGC and read through their detailed typed up article together. Sega Genesis Mini is launching in North America in October. The Mini console was previously announced for Japan, but has not yet been confirmed for Europe. The Sega Genesis Mini 2 will launch in North America on October 27th, the same release date previously announced for Japan. The Sega Genesis Mini 2 is based off the design of the Genesis Model 2, but will include both Genesis and Sega CD games. The Sega Genesis Mini 2 will come with over 50 classic titles. The first wave of titles confirmed for the console's North American release are the following: Sonic CD, Shining Force, Sliphead, Mansion of the Hidden Souls, Night Striker, The Ninja Warriors, Afterburner 2, Outrun, Outrunners, Virtua Racing, Super Hang-On, Sonic 3D Blast, Shining in the Darkness, Vector Man 2, The Ooze, Bonanza Bros, Alien Soldier, Rainbow Island Extra, Splatterhouse 2, Rolling Thunder 2, Light Force, Fantasy Zone, and Star Mobile. So if you were someone who grew up with the Genesis Model 2 and have nostalgia for it, this is probably the console, the mini console rather, that you will want to pick up, as before Sega did actually put out the Genesis 1 model mini console, which I did purchase as well, but I'm going to pick up this one too because there's new Sega CD games that I don't have on that previous collection. You have the 6-button controller that will come with this as opposed to just the 3-button that came with the Genesis 1, and anytime I have a reason to walk down memory lane and play some of the childhood classics that I grew up playing at a friend's house, actually, as I did not originally own a Genesis console, but one of my lifelong friends that grew up right across from me owned one, and I owned the SNES, so it was a back and forth and trade-off, and I have heavy nostalgia for most all these games. So the fact that we are seeing official support in the North American region is very hype for me. I hope they confirm it for Europe soon, as this should definitely be a worldwide release, in my opinion, with something as iconic as the Genesis Mini 2, and I am hopeful that we just see Sega continue with this mini console line, and one day we are talking about a Dreamcast Mini here on the channel available for pre-order, because that will be a day one purchase for me. Such an incredible system, very far ahead of its time, and also sad that it put the bow on Sega's hardware production, but definitely an iconic one that I think we need to get re-released in the future. Hopefully the Genesis Mini 2 sells well and Sega sees money-making opportunities in these mini line of consoles going forward. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. With this official confirmation of the North American release, are you planning on picking up the Genesis Mini 2? Is it one that you'll just skip over? Do you have the Genesis Mini 1, and does that sway into your decision at all on whether or not you're going to pick up this console? And what do you want to see from Sega going forward with mini consoles? Do you want the Dreamcast, or do you think it's one that we don't really need to see re-released? So please share all your thoughts and feelings on all things Sega and their mini line of hardware in 2022 in the comments down below. Now, the other story we're talking about today has to do with that brand new reveal we saw from Nintendo earlier this morning around Bayonetta 3, confirming the release date not only for 2022, but putting the exact timeline on it of October 28th, right before Halloween. With a dark themed game like that, makes a ton of sense. And by the way, before we unpack all the layers to the story and announcement, that game looks incredible. I am a fan of the hack and slash, high intensity combat style games, very reminiscent of like your classic God of War style titles, with these Bayonetta games, and this will be a day one pickup for me. The trailer could not have gotten me more hyped for this installment in the franchise, and besides the fast action gameplay that looks to run and perform amazing, I mean, the graphics literally look next level. They definitely did put in extra polish to this. I am far more impressed and taken back with today's trailer than I was with the last time we saw it at the September 2021 Nintendo Direct, and it just looks like plain out fun at the end of the day. So over the top, definitely interesting story elements. We know we can play as an additional character that was revealed in this trailer, maybe even deeper things going on with the lore, because there's definitely some references that I'm not fully up to speed on, but I will tell you guys that I do think that the story is looking great. The gameplay couldn't have me any more hyped, and we even got icing on the cake in case you want to go back and play through the classic Bayonettas with a standalone physical release for Bayonetta 1 on the Nintendo Switch that will be launching roughly a month ahead on September 30th. So there is no reason not to immerse yourself in this series now if you haven't. One key thing to note with the Bayonetta 1 release is that is a limited time offer, so it won't be in mass production for too long. So definitely, if you're a physical collector and you want that game, I would pick it up sooner rather than later. But I am ready for Bayonetta to drop on October 28th, and it definitely does a lot to fuel Nintendo's momentum in 2022, which up to this point in time was originally probably their most stacked year ever whenever we were looking at games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet alongside of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Of course, Breath of the Wild 2 being their big blockbuster marquee title getting pushed to 2023. However, we really are seeing the support come through on multiple different gaming companies' fronts, Bayonetta being the biggest one today, confirmed for that 2022 release, because there was a lot of back and forth at one point in time on whether or not this would maybe be a game that would slide into 2023. So I am relieved personally on that front. There is a couple interesting talking points about how this was released though, as clearly it was another standalone game announcement with an update trailer on Twitter and then going live on YouTube shortly thereafter. Like, Nintendo is definitely sticking to more of the 2020 playbook with a mini partner showcase and then individual game announcements, and that makes for a very interesting conversation because of course just yesterday we had the Kirby game launched out of nowhere that nobody was talking about, nobody knew was a thing, and we still don't know if that's going to be an individual priced release or if it'll be something that's thrown into the expansion pack, but a fun multiplayer style experience that Kirby has. Then today we get the surprise update for Bayonetta 3, which by the way was leaked, and we did cover it on the channel yesterday by somebody named Silex Hunter over on Twitter, clearly dunking on Samus Hunter very heavily at this point, especially now that they've had confirmed back-to-back things be right with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC Booster Course Pass, the direct mini partner showcase, and then now even the exact launch date and the day that the trailer would go live for Bayonetta 3. So definitely a count that I will be paying attention to going forward, just because from what I can see so far, they haven't gotten anything wrong and only have more things now adding to their track record. But you always have to be careful with these type of accounts regardless. However, it's pretty funny to watch the back and forth on Twitter. I'll have the account linked in my description in case you guys want to check it out, because they're definitely dunking hard on all of the other quote-unquote leakers slash insiders, most notably being Samus Hunter and also New Marco Maro. So it's an entertaining situation to watch unfold online in my opinion. However, we do have to have that talk of what this means for the 2022 future games roadmap, and how do we see Nintendo communicate any new unannounced titles when you talk about games like the heavily rumored Metroid Prime 1 remake that Jeff Grubb is doubling down on and saying that he's definitively been told that it is a game for 2022 and should launch this year by all accounts. When do we get that announcement? Is that something that is slotted into another surprise Twitter drop? I don't see Nintendo communicating a brand new major installment in their first party franchise like Metroid on a surprise trailer drop, but we are truly in uncharted territories here, and it is definitely something that could happen. We could just wake up to that announcement one day, or what I'm thinking is more likely, as clearly now we should not be setting any kind of expectations for any kind of July Nintendo Direct, as some people were talking about online, and we even discussed yesterday in the video, which I said, if this leak is true and if Bayonetta 3 is dropping today, then we should not be expecting a Nintendo Direct, and I want to make that super clear. Like, don't expect a Nintendo Direct this month. Yes, there could be a surprise curveball from Nintendo, there always can be, but why would this Bayonetta announcement and the Kirby game announcement not be at that Direct if we were truly around the corner from one? And so I would think that if something like a Metroid Prime 1 remake is announced, that it would be featured at a September Direct, just with a couple month turnaround, then you launch it in something like late November, and that could definitely make sense for that particular title. And then where my expectations lie now to get us through the rest of the summer is the updates on things that we're expecting, like Mario Kart DLC Wave 2 Booster Course Pass, most likely getting a trailer maybe this week. I mean, we saw the advertisements, we know it's time roughly anyway for them to launch it, and I think Nintendo just does these one-off communications. However, However, I will tell you guys that I definitely miss E3 this year at this point. I know some people don't mind not having these announcements at something like a mainline general Nintendo Direct. I'm okay with getting the information spread out one trailer at a time, but definitely enjoy a hype event where just it's one punchline after another with new announcements, and I'm feeling the effects of that more than ever right now. Even though the mini partner showcase was fantastic, I cannot wait to get back into the regular swing of things in summertime, where it is gamers Christmas for a week and we have all the major companies providing their major announcements, and hopefully Nintendo is back in full effect and partnered up with E3 with a mainline summer direct next year, when they will be back in full operation with a in-person and digital event as we now know what to expect in 2023. But for all of us Nintendo fans out there, and where I personally am setting my expectations for the rest of the summer, is just be on the lookout for these one-off surprise announcements tweeted out from Nintendo very early in the morning. I think that's what we have to carry us through the rest of the way until we maybe do get back to that more traditional direct formula, starting with something like the September direct. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. How do you feel about both the stories we talked about today? Are you picking up the Genesis Mini 2 console when it does release in the North American region? Are you somebody in Europe and hoping that it'll actually be released over there? And then definitely share with me what you think about the Bayonetta 3 announcement. How do you feel about the leaker actually getting this right and really being like their third major call out that's been right back to back? Do you have any kind of faith in the account? Do you think it's somebody just getting ridiculously lucky? And how do you personally think Nintendo will communicate future updates around major games that we know to probably be in the works, like Metroid Prime 1 Remake and like things like the Mario Kart Wave 2 Booster Course Pass? Are these just surprise standalone announcements, or do we see something more traditional like their direct format come back in September, and that's when we actually get some kind of updates around these type of projects? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, where we deep dive the leaks that did suggest that we would get this Bayonetta 3 trailer and exact release date today, and a broad discussion of why that means that we should not be expecting any kind of Nintendo Direct presentation to happen over the summer. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.